The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Sunday morning. Well, with us today is Stephen Fulop, and he's the president and CEO of the Partnership of the City of New York. Well, they have the 300 largest businesses in New York City. And Stephen, can you give us an update? What the heck is going on? I pray we don't lose any more businesses in New York.
Well, look, I mean, on the good side is the fact that New York City is tremendously resilient, whether it's COVID or 9/11 or, the financial challenges of the late 2000s. It's a resilient place. The challenge is that you're in a tough environment that's very, very fragile, and I think that we need to be careful. There have been some signs and indicators that the job market is not as strong as it could be, and, we don't want jobs to be leaving here and certainly businesses to be leaving. So I think we need to be very careful with our policies, John. That's where we are right now, and that's what we're focused on.
Understood. And there was a report that we lost 1,000 businesses because of congestion pricing. I haven't seen that report yet. Have you seen it?
So I haven't seen it. I've heard about it. And what I would say is that I think that there are a lot of things happening simultaneously. I think that you have concerns about tariffs. You have a tax environment that's very, very tough. You have technology, AI, that's changing the workplace. And then you have regulations, which people point to, whether it's congestion pricing or other similar things that put burdens on businesses. And I think all those things come together to kind of create the dynamic that we have today. When you look at the 2025 employment numbers, they were fairly weak for New York City. And I think that these are kind of, yellow flashing lights to be careful. And that's the hope that, our elected leaders do that.
Understood. What else do you want to tell? I mean, I have businesses in New York City, and I worry about losing more and more customers. Do you understand this pied-à-terre tax?
Yeah, here's what I would tell you, right? And we came out with a statement, and we thought about it, and I think you should be careful. I mean, I know that the politics of the far left would say tax the rich no matter what. But if you take a step back and you think about it practically, and you have somebody that buys a house or an apartment that is never going to be affordable housing, so they're not taking any existing inventory from affordable housing, and they're paying a huge amount in taxes and fees already, but they never call 911. They don't send their kids to the school system here. They don't put any trash in the sanitation department. They don't use any of the city resources. That, in many ways, is a good customer. The best way to think about it, John, is like a gym membership. A gym membership, the best type of customer is the guy that signs up January 2nd.
Pays you the full amount and never comes.
And never comes. Those are the best customers because they subsidize everybody else. So what we've said is that you need to be careful with how you position this because you want people putting money into the city that don't use any resources. And then the second thing that we've said, which I think is totally reasonable, and I hope that the governor and the mayor listen to this, is that there's some reasonable carve-outs that should be happening. Like, for example, if somebody has a primary residence in Westchester or say Buffalo even, and they're a New York State taxpayer, why should they be penalized if they have a second apartment here in New York? You don't.
Well, how about my home in East Quad?
There you go. Well,
am I going to get? Do I get double penalty?
Well, there you go. That's the same thing. And the second.
And have they determined how much the penalty is, or whatever the tax is?
Well, they haven't released that yet. And the other thing that we were concerned about, is that the video was done in front of Ken Griffin's apartment, and they used him as a highlight. And it's obviously, I don't think appropriate to highlight an individual with regards to this stuff. especially in that situation, because, Citadel, which is the company that he owns, is building a new building in New York City here, $5 billion with a B, invested in New York City. He's already donated $1 billion in philanthropic donations throughout New York City, and he's hiring thousands of people. So even if his primary residence is not New York City every single day, I would say, why do we want to alienate somebody that's investing billions of dollars to make New York City better for everybody? And so I just think we need to be careful with those sort of things because, like we said initially, it's a very fragile moment in the New York City economy.
Understood. Anything else you want to tell our people?
Look, I think there's a lot of reasons also to be optimistic. I mean, like I said, New York City is still a very desirable place for young people to, want to come to when they graduate college and live. I think that, from the partnership standpoint, we're hopeful that we could find some really important common ground to work with the administration on. Even if we don't agree on every issue on taxes and whatnot, there are things around environmental regulations we could work together on, housing policy we could work together on, things that impact day-to-day life here in New York that I think, whether you're on the left or the right or the middle, you should be able to agree that these are important things to, address the affordability crisis. So that's kind of where our focus is right now once we get through the state budget.
Stephen, you're the lead lobbyist or partnership for all the major banks. And a lot of them are moving a lot of people to Florida or Texas.
Yeah. So the thing
have you seen? I haven't seen that stop.
So people are opening or talking about opening second headquarters elsewhere. I mean, people are always going to have a presence here in New York City, but the question is, where do they grow? Where do they invest? And where do they hire additional people? So, the way I like to frame it is that, listeners should ask themselves, when a company opens a second headquarters, does their philanthropy and charitable giving double, or does it get divided between two headquarters? And I think most people would say, obviously, it gets divided between two headquarters, and that's not a good thing for New York City to be sharing that with anybody. So every time you see a company saying we're going to open a second headquarters, you should be concerned because it's not healthy for New York City to lose jobs. And I think that most people want to stay here. We just got to make sure that we're competitive with everybody else.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us the facts.
I really appreciate
it. And please keep all New Yorkers informed.
We will. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.